So I would say like about a month and a half ago, the city started shutting down and only allowing essential workers to work and commute to work. Everyone else had to just stay home. And honestly, and I say we, me and my wife, we were very fortunate because I'm an essential worker. Not the worker itself, but I'm in an essential field, so I'm still working. Basically, I go out almost every day for work, not including the weekends, but I'm still out and about. She, however, has not gone to the office in, I think it's been 6, almost 7 weeks already. Luckily for her, she wasn't laid off or anything because she has she works from home on her computer or whatever, and she's good to go. She can, they figured out a way to forward calls to her cell phone, so she's a full-blown little person working at home, and thank God for that, because there's a lot of people that don't have jobs right now. A lot of restaurants laid off, if not everyone, the majority of their staff. And it's just, basically the city, that's what it lives on. Restaurants, bars. Obviously tourism is non-existent right now. I mean, we've been riding through the city and there's just basically nobody out, except unless you live down there, But obviously no traffic. As you can see, this road would usually be pretty packed, and I mean, we're not even in the city, we're in Long Island, where things are a little bit more spread out. But even this little strip right here, we would probably be behind a few cars, or a few cars behind us. There's only one car behind us now, so traffic has been dramatically reduced. But yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky that we haven't been laid off or anything like that. We're still working, we're still getting paid, and yeah, everything on that front is good. School-wise, obviously the kids are not in school. I have one daughter that's in first grade. The other one is just being, taken care of by my mom, which actually happened to be sick for a little while. Thank God she's been a lot better nowadays. She never went to the hospital or anything. It was just, I believe it was the flu. She didn't really have any respiratory issues, but thank God she's feeling better. But anyways, long story short, the wife and the kids have been home for the past 6 weeks. And, since I've been working, leaving the house and coming back in, the very first few weeks was very tense in the house. And I mean, it was, a fight after a fight, because she didn't want me leaving the house, and she would say, hey, you're putting me at risk, and this and that, the other. It was a very tense moment, because I'm basically put between a hard place and a rock. I said that backwards. We're here slowing down. Rock in a hard place, because, at the end of the day, I do have to still go out for work, but I also want to keep my family safe. So in my industry where I work at, employees are dealing with people. It's a retail environment, so they are, in the very first few weeks, there was no mandate to wear masks or any of that stuff. Companies were still figuring out what to do and how to protect their employees as they still had to work. So there was no plexiglass, anything protecting us. There was a shortage of masks. So really everyone was just quitting. Like, even though they had a job, they just didn't want to be put in that predicament. There were a lot of them were quitting for multiple reasons. Like, hey, my family doesn't really want me to work, or I'm afraid, and that really was the biggest issue with us, keeping the staff, and most of all, keeping everyone that we work with safe, and protecting ourselves on top of that, but it was very, very difficult. Eventually then the company started doing certain things to try to protect us. We got a hold of masks, we got gloves, we got sanitizer for personal use. Then they started allowing us to work from home a few days, And then they put up plexiglass on in the stores to protect the employees in the stores. So it started getting a little better, but there was still this type of uncertainty with employees. Like, man, like, you know, I'm coming out here every day risking basically my life right now, you know, and that's how a lot of people that I've spoken to that are essential, they say the same thing. Like, man, we're basically dying out here. A lot of MTA, I know a lot of MTA folks, and man, like, they just started reducing hours for the MTA, you know, and these guys were basically, you know, even though ridership was down, people were not working, not commuting to work, they still had to follow the same schedule, which makes sense because at the end of the day, you still have to run for essential workers and that kind of stuff. But it was just a big mess, guys. It was a really big mess. Nobody knew what to do, how to react. I would say now that we're almost 2 months into this thing, things are starting to feel a little bit more, not, I wouldn't say normal, because there's definitely no way we're normal, but things are feeling a little safer. You will see people wearing masks in the streets. You know, basically nowadays, if you're in public, you kind of have to wear a mask, even if you're not 6 feet apart, or even if you are 6 feet apart, people are just wearing masks. You know, it's the level of fear is still very high, but I feel like, you know, it's already gone too long, and people are starting to get really tired of being home. And you got to remember, guys, this is New York City. Like, I live in the Bronx, and luckily I live in a multifamily, so I have access to a yard. But you got to remember, the city itself, there are so many buildings, so many, and a lot of them, believe it or not, are low income or mixed income, where a percentage of the apartments they're paying regular rent, the rest is just Section 8 or any other program. But basically, there's a lot of people living in buildings, and how do you stay confined in your 4, 6, 8 walls? It's like you're in jail, man. Like, it really is bad. So I don't know how these guys are doing it. You know, I'm sure, you know, by now they've gone out and done whatever they have to do. You know, they got to get people got to shop, you know. Every grocery store has a line around the freaking block nowadays. I went out yesterday to get propane just so I can do some grilling in the back. Just to get that tank, I honestly took me over an hour. Over an hour. I was almost 40 minutes waiting online, just to get to someone to say, hey, let me get a tank. And that's the reality that we're facing in the more densely populated areas. People are starting to travel a lot further away from home to just get the things that they need. They're traveling upstate to Westchester from the Bronx or Queens, to go to the Walmarts or to go to BJ's, and a lot more people are doing that. And then now those areas are starting to see a line outside when before there wasn't. You know, so basically life, you know, as we know it, is basically done, guys. I mean, I don't even know how we're gonna get back to normal after all this. You know, and really, for a lot of people, even the normal that it seems for us was not normal for them. Maybe they were struggling, or people were struggling before this shit this whole thing started. So you can just imagine how this has affected everyone, you know. But I don't know, it's just very crazy. But like I said, I'm very grateful that I still have a job, you know, and getting paid, and I'm able to come out with my bros. Everybody's healthy. But you know, it's not to say that I don't know people that have died. I do. You know, almost everyone here knows someone that has died of the virus. And that's the eerie reality. Like, we all want to joke and say, oh, this is, some people have, I've heard people say, oh, this is fake, you know, whatever. The truth of the matter is that people are dying from this. I know 3 people actually that have died from it. And everyone that I talk to knows at least one person, you know. So it's a very, it's one of those things where, you know it's happening, but at the end of the day, it's a shitty situation and there's nothing really you can do. And the worst part about it, the very, very worst part about it is that people that do die from the virus, the families can't see them. At least from what I've heard and from the people that have died that I know, this is what I've been told. You know, families can't go in to see them. In this one particular case, the doctor FaceTimed them so they can see the deceased. Like, what? That's just crazy. You know, and it's very sad actually, you know, like I feel really bad for people that have lost loved ones during this time, because if they can't see them, then they can't even really bury them, because as you guys know, with everybody dying, let's go. With a lot of people dying, what's happening is funeral homes are overwhelmed too. They can't keep up. So then they can't keep up with funerals, so they started cremating people. And then they couldn't even keep up with that. So it's a very, very sad time, man. It's I really don't wish anyone to die at this point, because it's like, damn, man, it just really sucks. It's really unfortunate. You know, and if you are able to actually have a funeral for someone, then, you know, you're limited to a very few amount of people inside the home, because obviously distancing rules and maximum capacity rules and all this other stuff, you know, it's just very, very unfortunate. So that's basically what we're living here. You know, I'm sure some of you guys saw videos of people being loaded up, dead people being loaded up into trucks. That is true. That's happening. I haven't seen it happen recently. I guess the infrastructure is getting better. But the first few weeks, yeah, man, they were being loaded up into trucks. Right on the block that I live at, there were, you know, a few elderly people died, and the whole family had to wait outside for hours until somebody from the funeral home came to pick them up. Hours. I'm telling you, cops were there and everything, just preventing them from going inside until these guys came in. So I don't know, man. It's just very, very. It's still very, a very. I don't even know what the hell I'm trying to say. It's a shitty time to be living. That's for sure. Especially in the city, man. You know, like I said, a lot of us essential workers, it might feel like we're still normal-ish because we still go out, we still, you know, we're still out and about basically. But for everyone else that's been cooped up in their homes for weeks, they're going nuts. I can tell you firsthand, my wife is just fed up already. And we have access to the yard, so we go back there every so often, but she hasn't driven in weeks, man. But anyways, guys, I don't want to ramble. I don't want to kind of, you know, this was basically a little moto vlog talking about life during this pandemic. I'm going to see if I, after this ride, go into the city and kind of record a little bit so you guys can see what the city looks like during this time. That'll be interesting. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be safe out there, please, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.